Okay, we were going back into banking. And why do they still say view? Okay, let's view it. Okay, it just shows, since we just wrote those checks, now it's showing which one of these checks do you want this to correspond with. And it just pick one of them at this point in time and match it. And now it just defaults the other one to that other. So you can just match it. And all that does is throw it on the register as posted. See, now you've got a call center charge and the storage management charge and the storage maintenance. And if you go back over to reports, into your P&L, change that to months. It will show you all those charges that posted this month. Anybody got any questions so far?
I have a ton at the end of the month for you, but not right now.
Oh, we haven't got to the end of the month stuff yet.
Oh, fun.
Okay, one of the things that you're going to really need to watch are the bank recs have to be done before you start month end. Have to be done.
And we start month end. What day do you normally do all this? The last day of the month?
The bank, well, you can do a couple of things before the month ends. You can do your accruals and prepaid expenses, and we'll get into the month end procedures here pretty soon. You can do that before month end, but everything else has to wait until all the money's posted. The last couple of days of the month, StoreEdge and the bank are lagging about 2 days. 2-3 days, depends on when the month ends. The last couple of months, to make StoreEdge reports mean anything, you have to manually post the last 2 days of your StoreEdge, what storage thinks it received. Mm-hmm. We haven't actually gotten that, and they end up being just unreconciled deposits. But if you don't post them, your storage reports will end up way off. Your income and your other receipts won't mean anything, and we found out the hard way on that. So the last couple of days of the month, you have to run that storage deposit slip report and post it manually as a deposit.
Like how we do it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And I can't see that part of my screen, so I'm just going to lower this.
We'll be doing that for like storage bills and all that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So to make a deposit, it's just you go back into that list of functions, make a bank deposit. Right. You'll have to, it'll default to one of the bank accounts. Just make sure it's the right one. Don't need a received from. The date, just use the last day of the month, it doesn't matter. But it has to be in that month. QuickBooks is not forgiving about dates. If you have an invoice date that is a prior month, you cannot put that date in for the invoice date. You have to put the current month in. Otherwise, it puts that expense back in that month. So if you want to make a note of that the date is not the date that you put in, if you want to make that in the description or the note, you can do so. But the date is very, very important that it's this month. Otherwise, you've just changed your financials for the month that you did. And you've already issued your financial reports, so you don't want to go back and change them most of the time. If you ever want to go back and change them, just check with Brad or I before you do that. But for the most part, you're always working in this month or if you're finishing up the month end, you're working in last month. But that date's critical. QuickBooks does not understand that you want to post it now. But if you do that and you discover that you've done that, don't worry, we can change it. It's forgiving, but it's not infallible. Right. But just make sure you're not changing something that you've already issued your financials for. So just be aware of that. I said it's very forgiving, but it's really critical that you don't.
So how would you fill this out for the deposit, the manual deposit?
For
You said at the end of the month, you do the last 2 days.
right.
manually, so
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and hit 31st, and it doesn't matter that it's a Saturday. It doesn't matter. Account. Your deposits are always that 45,003, which is
Yeah, we've been putting, so received from, we put deposit on there. That's how we've always been doing it. So you're saying it doesn't make a difference if you put it in there or not? No?
it doesn't.
Okay.
Some of them are set up, some of them are not. It doesn't really matter. But all of your deposits go into this pre-GPR, and for some reason you can't see the number when you go in here. But if you type in 45003, it'll come up to that right account. In here, put Store Edge deposit and then the date, whatever date that it thinks it was, and the amount, and that's all you have to do. And then hit save. At the beginning of the next month, when you go over to your banking again, instead of adding, it's going to say match because that deposit's already there. As long as the dollar amounts match, it's going to say match instead of add.
For those last two deposits at the end of the month.
Right.
It'll be there and it'll say match. So
Right.
it'll understand that what we put in and what automatically went in are the same thing?
Yes.
We're just saying yes, yes,
Yes.
yes? Okay.
For every other one for the month, you have to add.
Okay.
But for those two, since you've already manually put those numbers in, they're already there. If they don't match, then we'll have to, we'll figure that out. The weeks with the month ends with a holiday like we just had, oftentimes those won't match exactly. But if you add a couple of them together and add a couple of these together, they'll add up in total, and you can just say match. But it's really, really critical that you have those manual deposit or those manual entries in before you do the bank rec. Otherwise, they don't show up as cash on the bank rec. Your cash will be off. So just keep that in mind that you want to have those deposits before we start doing bank recs.